So this video is to show you how to do your fringed edge, and my bookmark kit has a fringing along the bottom, and who knows, there might be another kit that has fringing on it in the future. So you'll have sort of lots of different lengths of all your colours, and you need to cut all of those lengths to approximately about 11 centimetres long. You don't have to be that accurate because you're going to trim them anyway once they're all on. So just sort of get all your lengths to being about similar, and actually you don't have to worry that they're all identical in length, because once you've sort of threaded them all on, you will then go and trim them all to get them all nice and neat and the right edge. So at the moment when you thread these on, they will be sort of a tiny bit too long, but you want to just make sure that you've got this length so you've got sort of a nice enough bits of wool to play with. So now that you've got all your lengths cut, so you just need to sort of organise your bits of wool now into which colours you want sat together. And there's no sort of fast rule of how you do that, it's just sort of your personal preference. If you have enough wool, you could do it all the same colour, you could do alternates. And I've just shown you there that if sort of a piece of wool is very frayed at one end, you know, you probably need to just choose another bit. So you should have all offcuts to utilise with this. If you want to go completely different, we've got different coloured wools, you could do that. So you're just sort of organising your wools sort of in the pattern that you want them and what they look like. So move them around. Some colours look better together than others. Or you might want to follow the pattern that you've done, sort of in the same order. So it goes along the same order along the edge. So which is what I'm doing here, is I'm just following sort of which colours sat together on the bookmark that I'd made. So again, you can see there was another frayed one there, so I'm cutting a new one, just so that they're not frayed. You know, you might end up cutting off those ends anyway, but you want to make sure that to begin with they're not too frayed. So you get your layout, which you can see I've done here. So they're nice and neat. And now you're going to get your needle and take your first bit of wool and thread that on. And remember, so squeeze it between your thumb and your finger and push on so that you get it through. So you can only use a little tail there. So then in your first hole, so again, this one's going to be really tight because you've got lots of lengths of wool already through that hole. So you're going to have to really pull really quite tightly, so it will come through, and then take it back down the hole next to it. So again, this needs you know, just that little shimmy move to pull it through. So don't pull it through right the way through. What you want to do is to create a tiny little loop leaving the wool. You can see that you want that loop, and then you want to make sure sort of you make the ends even-ish. Don't panic too much about this. And then you're going to take the ends of the wool through the loop. So both ends through, pull it through and pull it tight. So you make that loop, and so it's nice and tight and neat there. So now you're going to repeat that process. So you're going to pick up your needle. And again, you're going to thread it on. Yeah, with the fringe, there's a lot of threading on. It depends on how many strands of fringe you have. So this time you're going to go on the next hole along. and then push it back to the one that's sat next to it. So if you're counting along, you go up hole 3 and then back down hole 4. Remember to leave that loop so you're not pulling tight, and pull your needle off, and then just even up your ends. So yeah, I've got them even there. And then you're going to take those ends and push them through, get both of them through, and then pull them tight. So you're just going to carry on with that process all the way along. So very simple. Once you've attached all your fringing, you can see they're all a bit all over the place in length. So just sort of brush them so that they're all flat and as in line as you can be. And then just get some really sharp scissors, and you can see, and you just trimming it like you would trim like hair fringe, your own hair fringe. You just need to do that with the wool. So just snip along to make sure that they're all even. And again, because the wool's sort of quite bouncy, you know, you need to thread them out again, and then you can just go along and trim it. So really simple, but just make sure your scissors are sharp.